there is a lot of things that are being pushed to the surface in everyone at the moment. So anything that has been hiding in our lives beneath the surface and waiting for us to discover them so that we can bring more love into our life is essentially being pushed to the surface, not to hurt us, not to bring us down, not to create a victim state, simply to assist us in evolving our soul, because this is what we are all here for, and allow for us, if it is our will, to integrate more love into our life by pointing out the things that have sat inside of us that have not been of love and have created blockages or distortions and density that doesn't need to be there anymore. So whilst we go through this whole process, it's becoming more and more obvious that there is a need really to understand ourselves and understand that we are not individually under attack. We are not individually victims of this world. We are not helpless or hopeless. And I'm sure there are many people that feel like that. And if you are going through something where you need assistance, please call appropriate places, because there are some things that are happening in this world where we are helpless and hopeless too. However, I'm here today to talk about how we can integrate a life cycle where you can step into your purpose and step out of the challenging cycles that have brought you back to the start time and time again, and also talk about self-care, self-love, and what this cycle looks like in a holistic space, and also like the two different levels of this cycle. So for me, moving through the human experiences, I've learnt over the last 40 years that everything moves in patterns and everything moves in cycles, and unless we change something within us, everything stays the same. And so then the question is, what is it that is needed inside of me to be able to create the change? It's not clear a lot of the time. And we have been taught that trying to find the answers outside of us and seek support outside of us and, try and figure things out when we are either in crisis or still feeling really crappy inside of us, I've found that serves no purpose. Yes, getting some support and where needed, yes, this is all great. But coming back to the whole saying that everything that we need is within us, I have found to be absolutely true. And there is a way to uncover those truths. And if you are somebody who is seeking the truth and seeking to understand yourself better, then living a soul-empowered lifestyle is going to, and understanding what that looks like and how easy it is to implement it, is a really easy way to bring yourself back into a natural state of being. And that's what I've been working on in the last few years. Due to my own personal experiences over the last 40 years, and especially in the last 6 years, being challenged to really understand cycles of abuse and how do I get out of them once and for all, right? So what I've found is that looking and understanding that we are all energetic in nature, and when I have been feeling or experiencing things that are really negative, if I don't have things in my life where I'm filling myself up with positive, when these negative things happen, I sink, I go into worst case scenarios. I amplify the negative, it just grows and grows. And so it's it became really evident to me that I need to counterbalance this. And this is something that I found probably nearly, or maybe 10 years ago. When I do things to generate positive energy inside of myself, and it started out with fitness for me, then the negative is counterbalanced. If I have lots of negative stuff happening or challenging stuff, things coming to the surface, I need to up the self-care, right? I need to up the positive things. And so then became a quest of what makes my heart happy. And so for the last 6 years, I've been exploring different things and naturally been gravitating to things that really have been feeding my soul. And so it's not just about doing temporary things that could potentially leave me. I'm not talking about doing drugs and getting high or getting drunk and temporary things. I'm finding things that are feeding my soul and have no after effects, no negative to impact the negative, right? For me, fitness, gardening, meditation, yoga, hanging out with my children, being with my family, being outdoors and running around like a child, just being in the sunshine, writing. There's all different ways in which I can bring joy into my heart, right? So that is what each of us needs to explore. And I've spent many hours, like sometimes I've spent 18 hours, 20 hours awake, trying to fill myself up with positive energy because I've been in a really negative environment. And so I've spent hours continuously working, or what looks like work, but it's essentially I've been trying to feed my soul to counterbalance the negative environment and the negative that was being thrown at me in order to understand myself. We'll come back to that. So building your self-care kit, knowing what makes you happy is the first stage. Well, actually, it's the second stage, because the first stage is wanting to understand oneself and becoming self-aware. How can I change my situation? What is it inside of me that is needed to create the change so that it reflects into my reality and I don't ever have to live in these situations again? Step 2, self-care. What makes me happy? Step 3, self-empowerment. When we start realizing that we have the control in ourselves to counterbalance any kind of negativity through having a toolkit that makes us happy, right? Brings us joy, fills us with positivity, we realize that we are self-empowered units, and we have the ability to change our focus and whether or not we are going to amplify the negative or the positive. Some of us have been stuck for many years focusing on the positive through, telling more and more people about all the negative stuff that's happening, whinging about the husband or all those things. Whenever we put our focus, whatever we put our focus on is going to grow. So for me, I was isolated anyway because I was really drained, and because I was so busy trying to feed my soul and put the positive energy into me, I didn't talk to a lot of people. I withdrew from everyone and everything, and because everything was really overwhelming. So I just needed to keep feeding myself these positive things and trying new things, in order to counterbalance the negative, I guess, and my quest to understand how I could change my situation for myself and my children. So then when we realize that we have that power within us to change the trajectory in the day from being a nightmare and snowballing, which takes practice. It doesn't just You don't just go, oh, I'm feeling great today. I'm going to go do this so I feel good. It takes practice. And you also have to fill that tank of positivity, which then starts affecting your mind and how you see things, how you observe things, instead of like doing things the way that you've always done. It's a process, right? That self-awareness gives you a tank. The self-care gives you the opportunity to start filling up that tank. The self-empowerment gives you an opportunity to choose where you will focus that energy that you've been building up, right? And then once you're feeling self-empowered, you realize how amazing you are. You start realizing how amazing you are and start remembering it by activating your self-care, right? That self-care, once you start really integrating your self-care and feeling self-empowered by your choices, right? That self-care, the self-love, kicks in. And through that self-love, we come back up to that first point, that self-awareness. The self-love brings us more self-awareness, right? Usually from a different point of view. And the point here is that we have a cycle of self-care, self-empowerment, self-love, self-awareness that then dissolves layers. It dissolves energetic layers. It dissolves old patterns and density. So then we start the cycle again, right? We have a different level of self-awareness and we start putting new tools in the toolbox to take us deeper and experiencing more joy on a deeper level, right? And it keeps going. That self-empowerment grows. It's like, I've got this shit. Like, what the? You start seeing things differently, right? And then we go over here to this more self-love. I've got more self-love, and we start creating boundaries where we haven't had boundary. We've forgotten about those boundaries because our self-worth starts coming back. This is where shit really starts changing, because the self-awareness then, when we've run a couple of these cycles, we look around and go, you know what? This is not right for me. I am living, or I am in a situation or a relationship or a circumstance or a employment, career, whatever it is in your life that is not in alignment with how you really feel about yourself. Once you've run this cycle a few times and you feel good in your heart about you because you've taken the time to make yourself happy and feel self-empowered and reinstate some of that self-love and connect with yourself again, mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically, you start wanting to make changes that are in more alignment. And so this is what happened for me. Then we have our multi-dimensional, if you haven't already got that kicked in. I've always lived from a multi-dimensional point of view. So alongside, and the reason I have created these two streams is because it's easier then to understand. I've always been spiritually inclined, and I have a pretty good understanding of how energetic patterns work and deciphering of energy. However, I'm aware that not everyone is aware of the holistic practices or quantum fields of energy or patterns of energy, and that's okay. It's totally part of wherever your journey has taken you. I totally respect that. You might have a totally different view, and I honor that as well. Like, I honor everyone's journey. We are all creating spaces and our reality through our different experiences, and I appreciate that. So the next level, or the level that pretty much I jumped straight into, was the soul care.